This video is about the engineering identity reflection. So in terms of word count, if you remove the 20% over here, just so for word count purposes, alright? So you have 20 over 80, 10 over 80, 25 over 80, and 25 over 80. Why 80? Because we take away the 20%. So 20 over 80 means a quarter. So if it's a quarter, we say that you can estimate for a 1,000 word essay, a quarter would give you 250 words. Now that is a more or less, and you can count as proportionally the same for the other 4 categories. So you have around a quarter of 1,000, 250 words, and if you go over a bit, it's okay. There will not be marks penalized if you go over a bit, but we don't want to read a very, very long 2,000, 3,000 word essay. So yeah, you need to learn how to be concise in your writing as well. So aim for 1,000. If you go a bit under or a bit over, it's fine, but try to keep to work towards 1,000. So I'll be explaining in brief first the outline of the differences between the 4 categories, and then I'll go into a bit detail line by line on what's going on over here. Okay, so the goal achievement analysis looks into the goal, whether you have achieved it or not, and how does it help you as an engineer. Okay, how about analysis of team feedback? This one looks at the ITP metrics. So if you refer to the ITP metrics and then you analyze your own score and then how other people score you, and then you can actually explain a bit any differences, that will give you the 10% over here. The two are related because the goals that you achieve or not achieve over here can be related to how the team has given you feedback on. Okay, so it is not a surprise if there is an overlap between the two. The Professional Engineering Relevance talks about how these two things that you have written, and then how does it relate to in terms of the technical event and the panel. And so whatever your goal was, how was it relevant in terms of professional engineer? It can be related to the wider course or also for your career goals. Okay, so this one is the professional aspect. This is the ITP peer feedback aspect, and then this one talks about the future aspect. Okay, so in terms of the future going forward, how does the goals that we have defined earlier on, how do they relate to the future as you go into your second SEM, as you go into your second, third, fourth year? How can you improve on the goals? Contrary to what I've advised some students, the goals here can actually be different from the goals you have analyzed in the earlier 3 parts. The reason is because as you reflect on these 3 aspects, you might discover new goals that you want to achieve, or you could extend goals. So this one is a bit more open, and then you should be able to show that the action plan is smart, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And then this one is actually informed by what you have discussed beforehand. All right. So for the ITP metrics, okay. So for the ITP metrics, the peer feedback comes in definitely over here, and helps you. It's necessary, okay, because if you look over here, there is a difference ITP. At least 2 ITP, and then ITP, and then little to no reference. So if you don't reference any ITP feedback, you're going to fail in this row. Okay, so don't do that. Make sure you clearly state what is the ITP results and your analysis to explain the differences between them. And then we only do 2 ITPs, so don't worry about the at least 2. So we have only done 2. And then if you only have done 1, then you have a problem there because you're going on this side of the column. There is another one which is a team health feedback report. Team health report. Where does that fit into the engineering identity reflection? Well, it is a supplementary, meaning that it can help inform you on any parts of this document, but it is not necessary, meaning that if you don't mention it, it is fine. It's different from the peer feedback, because the peer feedback talks about the personal and group ratings. So you must mention about the peer feedback. You can, if you want, mention about the team health report. Okay, so that's the difference between the two reports for ITP metrics. So then what else I want to say? Let's give you an example. Okay, let's give an example. Let's say that my goal was to be a better communicator. Now that's a very rough goal, so you need to have a SMART goal, right? So it needs to be smart, otherwise it drop down to this one. If the goal is not SMART, it's going to go into credit at maximum. Okay, so SMART goal, so I want to communicate better. So what's a SMART goal for that? I will share 2 ideas in every group meeting. Okay, so that's one example of a SMART goal. And then you have a measured progress. Okay, so you say that, okay, if we want to measure it, you can list down all the meetings that you have been, and then how many ideas you have shared at each point can be. And then you explain how progressing against this goal means how working on this goal, how doing this goal contributes to your professional development as an engineer. So I think that engineers need to communicate better because they have to present ideas to different stakeholders. And I find that my skills and experience is something that I need to work on. So that I can become a better engineer. Because an engineer doesn't just solve problems, they also need to communicate solutions. So I just explain a bit more. Then you have to explain if the goal has been met or if the goal has not been met. Either one. Don't write both, okay? Don't be. So if the goal has been met, then you explain how the goal was achieved and what contributed to the achievement. So you say the communication skills. The goal was achieved because I mentioned it to my group mates. They gave me time and they were patient with me. I wrote down my ideas before the meeting. I thought about it, and then through the support of seniors, mentors, group members, books, online resources. I mean, it depends on you. I mean, this is not about is there a correct answer, but talks about you. And then just say, I mean, if it has been met, and then explain how it works. If the goal has not been met, okay, then you explain why it was not met. So you don't have to lie. You don't have to say that it has been met when you have not done anything about it. So you can just say that maybe it was not relevant, or I found that I have very little time, I was not as committed as I should, or whatever it is. Then you can just write, and then it says, say whether is the goal actually important to you. Okay, so just explain a bit what are the challenges and barriers. Okay, so you can do that. So then you go and talk about the analysis of team feedback. So you say that critical and reason identification analysis between the 2 events. So you say between the 2 events means that, okay, we had the first one, the second one, and then you can track whether is there an improvement in the goals or in any parts of it. I mean, you reflect on your own work lah. So you have around 200 plus 250 words to 300 words over here. Then you go to the next. So try to write in this order. Don't mix it up because it makes it very difficult for the markers. So don't put a bit of goal achievement here, then a bit of professional relevance here, and then a bit of ongoing action plan here. So don't jump. First few paragraphs talk about goal achievement. Next paragraph or so talk about analysis of team feedback. So in the analysis of team feedback, write about the difference between the first ITP and the second ITP, and then write about the difference between the person and the group. Okay, so and then if there are any comments from the members, oh, you did very good, or I think that you're a better communicator at the end of the day, I think you're still very quiet. You can write all those feedbacks down and then use it for reflection. Then say that, oh, I did better than I thought. My friends actually saw improvement, or I thought I did well, but actually it seems that my progress is not observable by others. So just write an analysis based on what others think. Okay, this is about what others think about your progress. This is about whether you have achieved it. So it is the difference between the two. This is very more introspective, meaning that it's you thinking through things, you're reflecting on things from your side of point of view. This one is very much on what others think. Okay, and then you are reflecting or responding to what others think, because this is feedback. Okay, so the next one is professional engineering relevance, and this one says, okay, you have the competency, so how well you did in the above, and then also the goal. So again, relevant to the others. So whether we want to see how you can connect. Okay, here the word is how do you connect the earlier 2 things into the technical event and the panel. And some students struggle a lot. They say that I didn't understand what the technical guy was talking about, or whatever it is. Now, see, if you only talk about one, then you get half the marks. Okay, you need to talk about both things. Okay, so technical event is going to be worth 12.5, and a panel is going to be worth 12.5. All right. So panel is the one I invited, which is the Dr. Edwin Jong, and the technical event is the one that you're supposed to visit, IEEE, IEM, whatever events that you have visited. So you need to write about two things. And how do you write? For example, communication. Okay, let's say communication. If you go to any one of these two, and then they address about communication, and then what happened was the person said that it's important for an engineer to communicate well, and they give examples, or they give reasons why, or they express how they improve in the communication skills, or anything that the presenter actually said, then you can use to respond. You can write in here that, oh, I'm more clearer. It's clearer to me now how important this is. Previously it was not, but now it's more, and so on. So you can reflect on what the person said specifically on your goal. But sir, what happened if the person did not mention anything about my goal? Then you have to observe, and you have to whether it's implied in his whole presentation. Meaning that for communication, let's say the person is saying was presenting very, very well, and then you say that, wow, I have to communicate like he does, and you explain why he was a good communicator. If the person was a poor communicator, then you can also say so, but this is very subjective lah. But you can say so, all right? You're not going to be penalized. Or if you're very critical, you can be able to see why is it that the speaker is, how does he handle technical aspects? Because I think that's one of the things that's difficult for most communicators. How do you present technical information in a clear manner? So that's for communication. Then you may argue, sir, that's easy for you to say because it's communication. But how about things like time management? The person doesn't deal with time management. Well, there's going to be some aspect of it. I mean, whatever they're talking about, there's project timelines, professional conduct. All these things is actually coming out from the engineering talk. I don't think I mean, if you think a bit harder, you can see the connection actually. I really don't, I think it's quite tricky to find something that you cannot connect. So I'm saying that you can connect it, but you just have to think a bit harder. So engineering relevance. So you then connect it to the wider course. What degree are you doing? Are you doing business? Are you doing media? No, you're doing engineering. So talk about it in the context of engineering, and also your goals. I mean, if you're interested to become whatever specialized engineer or engineering in a particular field, in oil and gas, in electrical, and so on, you can discuss about these things, about how your goals helps you to become a better person in the future. And fourth, like I said, you have to do it for the future. Okay, so this one is just talking about the future. Then you base on the discussion that you had before, you say that, wow, I mean, I have communication is so important, I managed to achieve it. My friends say I communicated better, but still some improvements can be made in some areas. I see how the engineers communicate so well or so poorly that I think I need to do better. So action plan, I need to do what? SMART. So SMART. And then you say that how you're going to do it. So this is how you do it for the future. SEM 2 2009, SEM 1 to 2020, or second, third, fourth year. So talk about how you're going to do it, and make sure that it's SMART. All right. Again, you see, SMART is coming into high distinction and distinction. If you go into credit pass, there is no SMART. Okay. So over here, SMART is here. There is no SMART over here. As soon as it's not SMART, we drop down to credit pass. That's the maximum we can get. Okay, so that's true for all these things. So we want to encourage you to write and get a high distinction. All the tutors really want to give you the marks. So please help us to make it happen. Look at the high distinction properly and contrast it with the other ones, because you might think that you are fulfilling these ones, but then when you see the others, you realize that you're actually on this scale. So if you're one thing also as a tip, try to be specific. Meaning that, is your writing something that somebody else can do? Can you just copy and paste from your seniors? If it's something that you can copy and paste from your seniors, it means that it's definitely not specific enough. Because if it's generic, meaning that oh, I need to do better in terms of communication. I'll speak two times in a meeting, share ideas, two ideas in a meeting. And then you talk about the goal, and then it's all very general, you see. Just saying that I managed to achieve it. It was very difficult, but after some hard work and some effort, I managed to do it. Everybody can say that. So there is no thought, there is no specific details, it's nothing to demonstrate that actually it's something of your own work. So we don't want that. So try to make it specific, try to make it responding to the thing. You don't want to have it as a, you want to make it specific, and you also want to make it a reflection. So it's not summary. Okay, it's not a summary, it is a reflection. Reflection talks about you inside it. Okay, you are talking about yourself. You're not really talking about other people. You're talking about how you are doing in terms of your goal, in terms of how you look at the team feedback, in terms of how you look at the professional engineer, in terms of how you're looking at your future. Okay, so I hope this is helpful, and you can. Yeah, I wish you all the best. The deadline is Sunday 12 o'clock midnight. So do best for this one. Do your best for this one. Okay, all the best.